Well, good evening, everybody. Once again, it's Bobby Harvey live on location in downtown Ottumwa, Iowa. We are waiting once again for the westbound California Zephyr to arrive here in town. It is an absolutely beautiful evening here in southwest Iowa. And as usual, we are here in Ottumwa. The train is running pretty much on time, a few minutes late in Mount Pleasant. The last time I checked, they were west of Fairfield about 12 minutes ago, so they are getting close. Right now, as we begin to stream at 6:42, they are going to probably have a on-time departure tonight if they keep going the way they are. A lot of you chiming in now. Like CBD DeBoth, Brightline Rail Fan, Dakota. Welcome, guys. James is here. Welcome. He's here from Hamilton, Ohio. One of our regulars here on the stream. Welcome. So like I said momentarily, a few moments ago, it is a beautiful day here in southeast Iowa. Temperatures in the mid to sometimes upper 70s today. It's a very nice day today. A little breezy like it has been for weeks and weeks, it seems. Seems like we have bits and pieces of windy spells in a lot of the days the past few weeks, but that's just part of being in this time of year. Dakota says it's his birthday. Happy birthday. You know, I'm a big fan of the number 13. Today is April 13th. I think 13, a lot of people think that 13 is a bad number, is an unlucky number. I disagree. 13 is my favorite number, and I think it's lucky. And no, for those of you who might be wondering, it has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. That is her favorite number too, but that's just pure coincidence. So, we are waiting for the Zephyr. It was passing through Fairfield about 15 minutes ago, so they are going to be approaching shortly. Haven't heard any word of any other trains as of yet. Got my scanner on, monitoring. Haven't heard a peep out of anything else, but you never know. Kind of glancing really quick behind me just to make sure nothing's coming up on my back going east. So in this view, we are looking east at the station and the platform. We are standing on the new platform, which is the platform that Amtrak will be using exclusively once they remove the middle platform, which will probably happen later this spring and summer. No work has started yet on removing it, but it's just a matter of time. I've mentioned this in many of the streams in the past, but for those of you just joining in tonight and maybe haven't seen my previous streams, the platform work on the Ottumwa platform has occurred pretty much over the past 2 years, and they've got it done for the most part. The original plan was that they would overhaul both platforms, but that changed somewhere along the way to just overhauling the platform closest to the station and then removing the middle platform. BNSF has put in some crossover tracks to allow Amtrak to come in on this track, the track closest to the station, at all times. So kind of eliminates the need for a middle platform. With the train coming in on this platform all the time, passengers will not have to cross the tracks to get on the train in most instances. So the platform, the middle platform, will be eventually removed, and I'm guessing it will happen this summer. So we're looking east. There's the depot, and behind the depot, or in front of the depot, depending on if you're talking about trackside or roadside. Since this is a train station, we will call that the back of the depot. But it's facing downtown, so it's whichever way you're looking. Anyways, behind the depot is the old CB&Q steam locomotive, number 3001. It's an old Hudson steam engine. It's been here for a very long time, over 50 years. And the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy donated a number of those engines to stations along the line. Along with the Ottumwa station, there's one in Burlington, there's one in Galesburg, Illinois, and there's also one preserved, cosmetically at least, at the Illinois Railway Museum. I don't know if there are any others preserved besides these four, but it's nice that we have just 4 of them preserved. It'd be neat to see one restored to operation someday, but probably the only candidate that's even close to being suitable for restoration is the one that the Illinois Railway Museum. They actually have a track where they could run it. And that's downtown right over there. The American and Firestone Tire Place and some of the churches. Now what you hear on my scanner right now is a CPKC dispatcher and discussion. Dakota says he wanted 3001 for his birthday, but it wouldn't fit in his backyard. Well, that would be really cool to have a steam engine in your backyard. Some people have cabooses and other rail cars that they've bought and they restored and have them on their property. It would be something else to have a locomotive on your property, regardless if it ran or not. It would just be quite the display. You might get a few head turns from some of your neighbors, but you know, who cares? That'd be great to have a steam engine in your backyard. Dakota also says here in the chat that a friend of his has old flat cars in her front yard, narrow gauge. Wow. Now, there were quite a few narrow gauge railroads around here years ago, many years ago, a long time ago, back in the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s too. Of course, a lot of the railroads, when they first built them, were built to narrow gauge. It was easier to build them. But you could only get so much on a narrow gauge train, and obviously by then, a lot of the railroads had already adopted standard gauge, so any of the lines that converted, that were originally narrow gauge, were eventually converted to standard gauge, but there were quite a few of them around here. And of course, the only operating example of a narrow gauge line remaining in the state of Iowa is the Midwest Central Railroad over at the Old Threshers grounds in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. It's about 45 minutes away from here, either by car or train. Of course, the Old Threshers Reunion happens every year, 5 days ending on Labor Day. I think this year it's going to be mostly in August, last couple days in September. And this is a big deal. This is a big milestone for the Old Threshers Reunion because this is the, I'm pretty sure, it's the 75th anniversary of the Old Threshers Reunion. Also, the 65th anniversary, I think I've got those numbers right. Yep, the 65th anniversary of the Midwest Central Railroad at Mount Pleasant. Not only that, this is also my 20th year of making videos officially. I started Bobby Harvey Video Productions in June of 2005. And also, coincidentally, this will be the 20th Old Threshers Reunion. This year, 2025, will be the 20th Old Threshers Reunion that I have attended. Scratch that. The 25th reunion that I've attended, and the 20th year that I have videotaped the trains at Old Threshers. So a lot of milestones at the Old Threshers Reunion this year. But no, this is the 25th year that I've been to the Old Threshers Reunion overall. First year we went was 1999, and then for whatever reason, we didn't go in 2000. And every year since that, from 2001 onward, and obviously there was no reunion in 2020 due to COVID. So because of that, even though I skipped a couple of years, the anniversary years are now coinciding with whatever year we're in. So this is 2025, and this will be my 25th Old Threshers Reunion because of those couple that were missed. With that, we have Amtrak coming into the station. A few minutes before schedule, and there are already a bunch of passengers on the platform waiting for the train's arrival. And we hope that they get back off of the markers when the train comes in. AMTK, 3 West for the clear, track 1 number 730. What a great day for a train ride. Of course, that's about any day in my book. All right, we've got our warning whistle to let everybody that got off on the platform a couple minutes to get back on the train before they depart.
Eyeball runner, got a clear 5401.
And with that, the westbound California Zephyr is now clear of the Amtrak station here in Ottumwa, Iowa. Departing the station just 4 minutes behind schedule. If they keep it up, they could easily make up that time before their next stop in Osceola in about an hour, followed by Creston, Omaha, Lincoln, and all points west. to Emeryville, California. This train will arrive in Emeryville 2 days from now, hopefully in the early to mid-afternoon. So welcome to all of you that are might be just joining the stream right now. Go ahead and rewind the video a few minutes to see Amtrak's arrival and departure. They have just left the station here in Ottumwa as of 7:03 p.m. current time. The leader on the train tonight was Amtrak P42 number 83. And for those of you that might be familiar with other railroad video productions, one that I like to go back and watch from time to time, and I haven't watched in a while, was a 5-part series called Cab Ride from Kansas City to Chicago, made by Railway Productions. And in that video, the lead locomotive on the train from Kansas City to Chicago was none other than our leader tonight, Amtrak 83. That video was made over 25 years ago. And it's pretty neat to see the same engine still operating on Amtrak all these years later.
Dispatcher, we need 4 units added as DP units on this OTL. Alright, let me go that screen real quick, alright?
All right, so
Still there?
Yep, Amtrak's letting them know their times.
Our in-out times for Ottumwa 54:01 this evening, 18:54, 19:01. 54 and 01 for Amtrak, or? For the empty train, what units are we adding today? BNSF 8534, BNSF 9044, BNSF 9269, and a BNSF 8561. Alright, 8534 and 9044 and 9069 and 8561. Is that okay? Instead of 9069, that's a 9269 over. Alright, I'll get on there, over. Okay, I appreciate it. Here we go, thank you.
I wonder what train they're referring to in that conversation that we just heard. Freight train, obviously, adding a bunch of engines. I don't know where that train is. Obviously, they are close by, but...
I got paper. That'd be 29-42, box 2, Halpin, Kristen, all the way, main 1, no any.
Yeah, that's Amtrak going over their track warrant that they received. This is CTC trackage from just east of us here all the way to the Albia area, Halpin, which is west of Albia, and then it changes back to track warrant control. They were just saying that they have a track warrant from Halpin all the way to Creston. So it's going to be a pretty smooth night for Amtrak. So, as is customary, we're going to keep the stream rolling for another 15 minutes or so, just to make sure that we've captured all of the attention, all of the train action here in Ottumwa before we say goodbye. There's a lot of people watching tonight, so hopefully we get to see some other stuff. And in the meantime, we'll go back and I'll kind of go through some of the chat here. Yep. Now, A-Train has just joined the chat. He mentioned that the train that we were hearing about putting on more units might have been in the CPKC yard, and I think that is true because I just heard a whistle. So they are probably going to go out and cross over the BNSF, or cross onto the BNSF down at the CPKC Diamond. So that'd probably mean there won't be any other trains while they're doing their move. We might be able to see a little of them if we zoom in a little bit. Not a whole lot though, because the train will be joining BNSF trackage. There is a interchange track between the CPKC and BNSF to allow trains to run from one railroad or the other. So if this is an empty coal train, it would be going west on BNSF and crossing over, or running on Main 2, since Amtrak just left on Main 1. So if that's the case, there might be some other trains that go through on Main 1 going west, but we'll have to see. So let's join in the chat for a little while. Let's go back to where we left off. Yeah, Dakota said back in the Old Threshers conversation here, right before Amtrak pulled in, I was talking about how there'd be like a bunch of different milestones at Old Threshers this year. It's Old Threshers' 75th anniversary. It's Midwest Central's 65th anniversaries. It is my 20th anniversary of Bobby Harvey Video Productions as a whole. It'll be the 20th time I have filmed the trains at Old Threshers, and this will also be my 25th Old Threshers reunion that I have attended. And Dakota was just saying that this will be his 4th Old Threshers. He got his inspiration for going thanks to my videos. Well, that really makes me feel good, knowing that my little videos have inspired some other people to not only visit the Old Threshers reunion, but to get involved in the volunteering over there. And that is definitely a train coming off of the CPKC, as we can hear. Probably won't be able to see a whole lot of it, but I am going to move the camera just slightly over so that we might be able to see a little bit of the train in the distance. Like I said, we won't be able to see very much of it because it is a ways down there, but we'll do what we can. So we'll zoom in, and it will be kind of grainy, but that's just because we are zoomed in all the way here. We'll zoom out a little bit so it doesn't look too bad. But pretty much right past the whistle post there that's facing eastbound train traffic, and the little notice in between that sign and the little exclamation point sign that tells passengers to not walk off the platform. Right in between those two signs, that is where we might be able to see the little bit of that train that is joining the BNSF coming off of the CPKC. I want to step over and take a look at the signals for westbound trains on Main 1 here and see if there's anything else lined up. It is negative. They're all red, so this train that is coming might be crossing over to Main 1. There is another crossover for westbound trains to cross from 2 to 1. The interchange track off of CPKC joins BNSF on Main 2, and then that crossover, so they might just cross right over. A lot of times they do, because typically the flow of traffic is trains go on the right-hand side. Kind of a holdover from the old days when this line was only signaled one direction per track. Of course, it's all bi-directional signaling now, but there's still a lot of portions of track warrant control and ABS signals, so it's not fully CTC. So a lot of times the dispatchers will kind of keep trains on the right-hand side. 38 people watching right now. That's incredible. I think that's a record for this year's live streams. So for those of you just joining us, Amtrak pulled out of the station about 12 minutes ago, and we can hear a train coming off of the CPKC that will be joining BNSF right down at the diamond, which is kind of right in, we're right in there. Whoa, right down there. So we're not going to see a whole lot of it, but it's something to see while we run through the rest of tonight's stream and talk in the chat. And the next time you hear the train whistle, it'll be going through a Gateway Drive, and then they will be joining BNSF. We might be able to see them just a little bit. All right, back to the chat. Conrail Trainman says, glad to see they got the shelters done. Yep, it was a long process, but I'm glad they got them done too. So there's the train whistling for Gateway Drive, which is behind the warehouse buildings on our left. And they're going to be running pretty slow, about 10 miles an hour, as they negotiate the interchange track and probably the crossovers. We'll see how much we can actually see of them. Now, I have actually gotten a few trains going through the interchange track, either going to or coming from the CPKC yard. It's pretty neat to watch. So like I said, right in between that whistle post that's at the end of the platform and the warning sign for passengers to not pass off the platform, right in between those two signs, we might be able to see a little bit of that train as it joins BNSF from the CPKC yard. And yep, you can kind of see it there, just barely. There we go, as it comes into the BNSF. I don't know if we can see any more of it if I zoom in a little more. It's pretty grainy. But, that is it. I'm gonna zoom out a little more so it's not totally distorted. You still kind of see it. That's as good as it gets for that train. They are going west, heading back to the Powder River Basin for more coal. Now, those trains that come off of the CPKC and they go on the CPKC when they're loaded, they originate in Wyoming, and once they join the CPKC, they run north to one of two power plants, either Mid-American Power in Fruitland, Iowa, or Muscatine Power and Water in Muscatine, Iowa. There are two power plants very close together. Fruitland is just a little south of Muscatine, but that's where those trains, excuse me, that's where those trains originate and go. And of course, when they're running empty, they come back to Ottumwa and then back on the BNSF back to Wyoming for another load. It does look like they are crossing tracks from my vantage point here. All right, as we kind of watch that train in the distance join BNSF, we'll go back to the chat here. So with the camera moving, that is me running my finger across the phone screen looking at the chat. It's a lot more noticeable since I'm zoomed in, so I apologize for that. Brightline Railfan asks, was Engineer Ace on the train? Well, I guess I don't know which one is Ace. I know a few of the engineers on this line. I don't know all of their names. just a moment here. Easter is next week. There's a bunny. Getting ready. So with that train moving at 10 miles an hour, it's going to take them a little while to get across. When they do, you never know. There might be something east lined up. We'll see. All right, back to where we were in the chat. A-Train was mentioning it was probably a CPKC train coming out, and that is correct. Now, Kirk asks, welcome Kirk, he asks, are we also going to do some live streams while checking out different spots like you used to? Yes, one of these times I'm going to do one of those, but it requires a little more, well, it doesn't really require more equipment, but I like using more equipment, like those new microphones, so it just records better audio while I'm in the car. Those require charging, and I just, if I don't find time to, or forget to charge the microphones, it's just easier to do a stream down here. But yes, I am definitely planning on doing more of those. Next week, if I do a stream next week, which I may or may not because it is Easter, so we'll have to see if I can work it in my schedule. If I do a stream next week, it'll probably be another one of these down here at the depot, just because it's a little easier to do, and it's I've actually gotten quite a bit of decent action down here in the past 6 weeks that I've been doing these. But I do plan on doing more of the what I'm going to call trains on the go, just kind of looking around at different trains in the area and driving around to see all the trains. So for an example, if we were doing one of those streams right now, we would be down there actually getting that train up close. So I will definitely do more of those videos in the future. But I do like doing these videos too. It's nice to just have the camera stationed on the platform, see Amtrak come in and go and anything else. Variety is the spice of life, so we will definitely spice it up in the future here sometime. James says, congratulations on your 20 and 25 year milestone. Thank you. It's crazy that, oh, who we got? It's another CPKC conversation. Yeah. Must be something far away. It really is amazing when you think about Old Threshers and how many years I've gone.
Depends on if I'm recrewing a northbound. I'll let you know here in a minute.
I have gone to Old Threshers most of my life. And believe it or not, I've gone to Old Threshers 25 years. I have gone to a third of all of the Old Threshers reunions. That's just mind-blowing. And it's hard to believe that I've been doing, making DVDs and videos and the Bobby Harvey video production and stuff. It's amazing that I've been doing it for almost 20 years now. It's crazy. I started when I was 13 years old, and definitely my videos have improved a lot since then. But being 2005, I got to capture a lot of things that now you would probably consider almost historic. I actually started filming trains in 2004, but I didn't actually make any finished videos until 2005. And in 2004, I got some of the last bit of Amtrak's Mail and Express on the Zephyr and the Southwest Chief. I wish I'd gotten more video, but of course I was very young, but I'm glad I got what I did. Got a lot of other stuff too. Back then, on the coal trains coming through here, it was almost exclusively a parade of SD70 Mac locomotives. And now, SD70 Macs are scarce, hard to come by, and it's a real treat when you get to see one coming through leading a train or even trailing. back then, they were so common that, you know, they were nothing. I mean, it wasn't really a big deal. In hindsight, I'm glad I got all the video of them when I did. You don't think that things really change that much on the railroad in the present, but if you go back 15, 20 years, there's a lot that's changed. That's why it's important to take video, because you get to document all this stuff. Go back and relive it. And it's history. That's why you should, you know, take pictures and film, you know, a lot of different aspects of your life. Because the only thing constant in life is change. And taking video is probably the best medium to preserve all those moments that you experience in your life over the years. Now there's the mid-train. I don't know if you guys can see it. The mid-train engine. Actually, I think that might be the end of the train. Yep, it is. That's the end of the train, joining the BNSF and crossing over. We can see the headlight now, and the rear engine. Like there were 3 or 4 engines on the back. Now those trains going up to Fruitland and Muscatine, they have a lot of power on them, at least 6 engines. That way they can get up Rutledge Hill, which is here in Ottumwa, in one shot. Years ago, they only had 2 engines on those trains, and they had to take the train up the hill in 3 sections. So take the first part of the train from the yard, go up the hill, put it in Rutledge siding, come back down the hill, hook up the second section, take it up the hill, come back down, get the third section, bring it up, hook all 3 sections together, and then start on their way. Now that process would take hours and hours. But Rutledge Hill is very steep for Iowa. I think it might be the steepest mainline grade on a railroad in Iowa. And it's, you know, it's a 1.7% grade. It's very, it's very sustained. And as Iowa Trains just commented now, says sometimes they go up in 3 sections and still stall. It's a very treacherous hill. And it's considered, I mean, a sustained 1.7% grade, it's considered a mountain grade. It's the way the old Milwaukee tracks, which are now CPKC, curve and climb up out of the Des Moines River Valley. All right, so that train is now on the BNSF heading west, and we're going to keep things going for just a few more minutes just to make sure that nothing else shows up. Seems pretty quiet, but we'll go through the rest of the chat and see what happens. We'll pan the camera back around to the station. Still nicely lit. 40 people watching right now. That is close to a record for my live streams overall. Welcome, guys. For those of you just joining us, we saw Amtrak about 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago. So back the stream up and watch Amtrak come in and depart. And we just saw a CPKC train joining the BNSF from a distance down at the Diamonds, about a mile west of here. And I'll take one more look at the signals to the east and see if there's anything lined for eastbound traffic. And those signals are actually out, so that means that there probably aren't any eastbounds for a while. So we're going to go through the stream, the chat really quick and catch up on some things, and then we might call it a night. Let's see, let's go back here. Grandpa Leroy says that his mom worked for the Soo Line. Of course, the Soo Line was the, after Milwaukee filed bankruptcy, the Soo Line purchased a number of Milwaukee tracks in the Midwest, including the line that went through Ottumwa, the old Milwaukee line that went through here, that still exists today as CPKC. Now, the Soo Line had it until about 1997, and then they sold it to I&M Rail Link. I&M Rail Link operated it for about 6 years. It wasn't a huge success, and then I&M Rail Link was bought by the company that owned the Dakota, Minnesota, and Eastern and spun it off as the Iowa, Chicago, and Eastern. And the IC&E was kind of a success story, and they ran the railroad for the next 5 years. It's hard to believe that the Iowa, Chicago, and Eastern only existed for 5 years. But and then, of course, Canadian Pacific purchased the IC&E and DM&E in 2008, and it became part of the Canadian Pacific system. Then, of course, in 2023, Canadian Pacific merged with Kansas City Southern, creating CPKC. So since the Milwaukee, the other line through Ottumwa, not this one, but the other one, has gone through a lot of different hands. But the line has kind of gone from kind of a secondary line to a main line. An important main line for the CPKC because it connects the Canadian Pacific lines to the Kansas City Southern lines. Yeah, Brightline Railfan was mentioning Engineer Ace, and he said he heard his voice on the radio, so it must have been him coming in. Like I say, I don't have all the names of the engineers on this line. I know a few of them, talked to a few of them, but usually, I let them do their work because, it's their job to run these trains, and you don't want to interfere too much. Yep, CBD DeBoth mentions I am about to 96,000 subscribers, getting close to 100,000. Yep, it's kind of been hovering in the mid 90,000s for a while, but we'll get there eventually. Yeah, Mark just joined in from Washington, Iowa. Welcome, Mark. So we're going to get one more check of the signals here. All right, eastbound signals are still out. Westbound signals are still all red. Give it a couple more minutes, and if nothing changes, we will probably wrap things up for tonight. But it's a very nice night tonight. Feels almost like summer, and summer is getting close. It's hard to believe that after Easter, it will be just a little over a month until Memorial Day, the unofficial start of summertime. Unofficial, obviously, because summer doesn't officially start until the end of June, but Memorial Day is kind of that beginning point for a lot of people because school gets out, people start planning vacations, and obviously Memorial Day is a huge holiday. So it's always the unofficial start to summer. Labor Day is kind of the unofficial end to summer. Not much else goes on after Labor Day as far as summertime activities, but summer still goes on for a few weeks after Labor Day, ending in the end of September. That is hard to believe. I mean, Easter is very late this year. Today is Palm Sunday, which is always a week before Easter. Easter will be next Sunday, April 20th. It's not usually that late. Sometimes Easter can be in the end of March, and it's almost at the end of April this year. Kirk asks, if you hit 1 million subscribers, how would you celebrate? That's a good question. I'm a long ways from that point, but I hope I hit it someday. I guess we'll have to see. Maybe when I get over 900,000 subscribers, I will figure out what I want to do for the 1 million subscriber milestone. But that's a long ways away from now. But some train YouTubers hit it. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Coaster Fan 2105. Mike Armstrong out in California. He's a very popular train YouTuber, and he has well over 1 million subscribers. And there are several others too. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. Now, Kirk just asked, face reveal for my 1 millionth subscriber. Well, actually, you might see it a little sooner than that. I already kind of thought of doing a face reveal, maybe doing some more videos of not just real trains, but also my model trains, and kind of doing a like a walkthrough of my layout and how things work on the layout and stuff like that. There are a lot of popular YouTubers that do that. I'm in the O-gauge trains, obviously, so as you've seen in previous videos, there are a lot of very popular O-gauge YouTubers. Eric Siegel, Chris from RBP Trains have very big followings. And they show themselves in the video and show what they're doing and do product reviews and show their trains running around. And I've also thought of doing more like vlog type videos of different travels that I take, train trips, road trips, other things like that. So we'll have to see. I mean, this is the 20th anniversary of Bobby Harvey Video Productions overall. Started making DVDs in 2005. It didn't get on YouTube until 2008. So this is the 20th anniversary of Bobby Harvey Video Productions as a whole. So you never know. I have a lot of ideas for the 20th anniversary, but you'll just have to wait and see what they are. Now, my next video project I'm working on is actually going to be a very, very big one. It is my California Zephyr video, my documentary of the Amtrak California Zephyr between Chicago and San Francisco. Now that is going to be, I have all the footage for it, but it's going to be a very, very huge video project. So
4177 is now 4,400 gallons, 4400.
I'm hoping to get it done in maybe a few months, hopefully before Old Threshers, but we'll have to see. I've just started preliminary work on that video, so it's going to be a while, but it's going to be a big one. Now, if any of you have seen my Southwest Chief documentary, Amtrak Southwest Chief, Chicago to Los Angeles, if you've watched that video, I will be making the California Zephyr video in very similar style. 90-minute video, and pretty much documents the entire journey on the Zephyr from Chicago all the way to San Francisco, Emeryville and on to San Francisco. And I've got a lot of footage in Chicago and San Francisco to accompany the video. It's going to be a very, very big, involved project, but it's going to be really cool when it's done. So that is the next video I'm working on. But like I said, it's going to be a ways down the road. So I'll probably do other smaller videos before that. Either vlog videos or how-to videos or videos of the train layout, things like that. Oh, Mark just did another $9.99 super chat. Well, thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate that. Thank you. And Kirk asks, are you going to do one on Amtrak's Empire Builder between Chicago, Seattle, and Portland? That would be a great one to do. Of course, that is a ways down the road. And the neat thing about the Zephyr is that it's a little more local, obviously, so the footage that I needed for the Zephyr video, it's easy to get between Chicago and here and points west because it's not very far away from home. And then obviously to ride the train, it's convenient because you can just get on here and go to San Francisco and back. And to get my trackside footage, I rented a car and drove from here all the way to San Francisco and took trackside views of the train along the way over the course of several days. It was a lot of fun. It was quite an adventure, though. And you wouldn't think you'd be able to keep up with an 80-mile-an-hour passenger train all across the country, but I was pretty successful. The trackside footage will greatly accompany the onboard footage that I got of the Zephyr for my documentary. But I will eventually, hopefully, do other trains. I think it'd be cool to do a documentary of the new Floridian from Chicago to Miami. I don't know how many years Amtrak is going to run that train, so I might not be able to do that one. But obviously, the Capital Limited, Silver Meteor, Coast Starlight is another one that I've liked to ride. There are so many Amtrak trains. So many trains, so little time. But, you know, I'll get to them all eventually. So yeah, Mark, thank you very much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Okay, folks, Little clock on the wall is telling me that it's about time to wrap things up for the night. We got a pretty good turnout tonight. Got to see Amtrak and a CPKC train from a distance joining the BNSF for its trip west back to Wyoming. And it's a very nice night. Sun's going down. And we are going to go ahead and wrap things up tonight. There's the setting sun. Robin singing on the platform. So yes, my next big video project, my next documentary, will be of the California Zephyr, but that is going to be several months away, most likely. But I will be having plenty more of these live streams and maybe some smaller videos here and there in the meantime. So lots of stuff going on this year. We're just getting started. But with that, it is the end of what turned out to be a pretty good day here in Southeast Iowa and along the railroad. So we will see you all maybe next week. Like I said, next week is Easter. So we will see. I may or may not do a stream next week, but we will have to see on that. I will let you guys know. And we will see you all next time, whenever that will be, either next week or sometime further down the road. So with that, we are going to wrap things up for the night. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight's stream. And we will see you all next time. This is Bobby Harvey, live in Ottumwa, signing off for tonight. So long, everyone.